Welcome back, guys. I'm Sage Valentine, and right now I'm going to review AMC's Fear the Walking Dead Season 4 episode number 2 entitled Another Day in the Diamond. So let's just get down to this review. I'm feeling the vibe of Season 4. Call me crazy, but it feels like the show hired new writers on top of getting a new showrunner or two. Either way, I'm all here for it. Like many fans, I see the nods to TWD via the Vultures, or as I and many people on Twitter refer to them as the hipster version of the Saviors. I also see a bit of the Z Nation campiness and craziness. Quiet as it's kept, I haven't heard of any rivalry between the two series, i.e. the TWD Fear TWD series and Z Nation. Considering that the Z Nation cast pops up at Walker Stalker every so often, which is pretty awesome. But anyways, guys, I like Season 4 so far. Yeah, I know we're only 2 episodes into the season, but so far so good. And I believe that before the show goes into their hiatus / break for like a month or two until they start up again and then Fear leads into The Walking Dead, I think that a major character is going to be killed off. Remember in Season 3 how it was like a double episode event? All those secondary, tertiary characters were killed off along with Travis. And Travis's death was a huge surprise. And don't forget, we didn't end the season without Ophelia dying. So I feel like someone big is going to die. It's going to shock us. I really believe the writers have some big shock and awe plans for the show, and I am so ready for them. I really like the opening scene of the episode and how like they're letting us know, you know what, this is before, and it's going to tell us all about what happened and what led Luciana, Nick, Strand, and Alicia to become as feral and wild and dark as they've become. I mean, I do remember what they went through in the first 3 seasons, but these folks have come to a place where they remind me a lot of what Morgan was before Eastman picked him up. Maybe without the whole, like, you know, kind of craziness. I wouldn't say it's craziness. You know what? I'm not even going to say that. Before he started. I really like the opening scene with everyone sleeping and then waking up with a smile on their faces. They seem relaxed. They're getting dressed. They're clean. This baseball stadium has like a farm. They are making their own vegetables. They have animals. Everyone looks pretty much content. And the stadium has a few quiet comforts of home. Like, this is something completely new from what the group was used to in seasons 2 and 3. I'm not going to add 1 because 1, we were still getting to know the characters and everything. And they were on the run, but mostly seasons 2 and 3, this is something completely new. Even though in season 2, the group did end up with that lady who was also friendly with Strand's boyfriend at the time, but still, like, this place is showing me a new side of the group, and I kind of like it. Charlie is this little girl that Madison and the crew found, and Madison's trying to talk to her. She doesn't want to talk about her family, but she reveals to Madison she likes pizza. I believe she likes music, and she hates salmon patties. I ate those as a kid. I'm not too fond of them myself. But there's something off about this kid, which is red flag number 1. But I assume that maybe she was mourning her family. Maybe she was a little bit scared, but still I was a little iffy about her. But Madison, in my opinion, did a great job talking to her, and I really liked that conversation. I also like the shots of the walkers, especially the one where the walker was kind of walking past the camera, like not even looking into it. Because, you know, if you watch TWD, there were some points whereas the walkers were walking straight into the camera, it was like this walker was just like walking past the camera as if it wasn't there. I really like that shot. I like how the opening credits reflect the time of day that this part of the story is taking place. It reminds me so much of the credits for the show Longmire. I don't know if you've ever watched it. It is right now on Netflix. All the seasons are there. It just ended, I believe it was last year. Or was it earlier this year? It might have been last year. But anyway, every time they had an episode, if the opening scene took place in the darkness, you would see like the landscape in the darkness. So I really like how the cars are like traveling, and then you see like in last week's episode it was darkness, and in this week's episode it's like sunrise. I really think that's cool, and the opening song really gives me this Texas feel. The shots of the animals, the man gardening, and the announcer speaking gives this sense that everything in this little area, in this little nook, this little baseball stadium is okay. And apparently, Madison and the crew have been staying at this place for a year as of this day where the story begins. So we get to meet this new guy. He's really cute. His name is Cole, but we don't find out his name, I don't think, until later in the episode, unless, of course, somehow while I was writing my notes, I missed his name. Apparently, Madison hasn't truly settled into this stadium life, this new life. She feels a little bit iffy. She reminds me a lot of Rick in the previous seasons of The Walking Dead, whereas Rick was never truly settled into any place. Even when they made it to Alexandria for a while, Rick and the gang were a bit iffy, and then we made it to a point where everyone had settled in and Rick was still kind of on edge. Yeah, Madison is giving me that vibe. So if it turns out that Madison is a distant cousin or a sibling to Rick Grimes, I will be so happy. I'm cool with that because she reminds me so much of Rick. But Madison wants to make a place for Charlie, and I don't blame her. It seems like this kid was going through something, but again, that little girl's still shady. Now, Nick is like, I guess, the main farmer, the main gardener, and his turnips are all messed up. And red flag number 2, in my eyes, is making me question whether or not Charlie sabotaged those turnips. On top of the fact that Charlie's asking a lot of questions about the food and how much food they have. And I'm like, what is her end game? But then Nick is looking at Charlie's questions as if she's asking them because she's worried, because she hasn't really lived in this stadium for a very long time. So she's wondering, when is the food going to run out, as if she was in a situation where the food did run out at one point. Madison is determined to have the group that's going out on the run with her look for Charlie's family. Now, the bald dude and the woman that's there, I didn't catch their names, but I think I do have their names written down in the notes, and I'll get to it later as I continue. But they're kind of iffy about going past the boundary that they usually go to. And Madison was like, listen, we need to find Charlie's family. Basically, she wants to make Charlie smile. She wants to do something nice for Charlie. And I don't blame those two people for being iffy about going past where they usually go, because as a watcher or a viewer of TWD, I already know that when they deviate from their plan and go out further, they end up in some sort of dangerous situation, and essentially the run group does run into that later on. But I really liked how the flaming baseball bombs distract the walker. That was really cute. Apparently Strand is making the schedule for everybody as far as work duties, and for some reason Nick won't go on any runs anymore, and I'm trying to figure out why. Like, is he afraid of something happening? And we learn a little bit of how he's afraid or worried that Luciana won't come back, especially after she disappeared. And what I mean by won't come back is that she'll go out on the run and then she won't come back and he won't see her again. So he has some sort of like separation anxiety as far as his relationship. It also feels like he's going through PTSD or something. And then I'm wondering about Cole at this point. Like, is Cole trying to holler at Alicia, or is Cole trying to holler at Strand? Is he trying to get with both? I don't know, but I'm not mad at him for that. So Nick realizes that weevils infested the turnips. And he's talking to, I believe it's the group over the walkie-talkie. And then as Luciana tries to reply back to him, she can't get him on the walkie. And I'm wondering, like, was the signal jammed? Or is it just because they are out further than they normally go? So once Madison, Strand, Lucy, and Alicia make it to this town to search for Charlie's family, Madison's like, we're going to split up into two groups. I'm going with Alicia, Lucy, and Strand. You guys look through all the stores. So Lucy and Strand are looking through the stores, and they realize that the store that they come upon, the first one they look at, it was stripped all the way down to the bone. Whoever was there even took the light bulb. So you're trying to figure out, like, who the heck came through this town and took the light bulb? Something's not right, and that's red flag number 3 for me. This is when I realized something is about to happen. Something really bad. So Madison and Alicia reach this silo area. They see, I think, a van, and it looks like people were staying there at one point, and it looked like it was set on fire. Red flag number 4 in my eyes was that there's no walkers at all. So the question is, where the hell are the walkers? So Madison comes upon what looked like a jar, an open jar or something, looked like jelly or soup or something. And Madison's like, somebody was eating here, so let's see who was here. And I think she and Alicia split up. So Strand is talking to Lucy, and Strand is just like, completely flabbergasted that Madison saved him, and he never asked her why she helped him despite what he did. And Lucy tells him, well, you need to ask her that. So Nick is back at the baseball stadium, and he finds Charlie messing with the walkie-talkie, red flag number 5. And Nick is like, well, what are you doing? She doesn't say anything, and she claims that she knows that Madison and the crew are not on a regular run. And I'm like, how does this child know this? Like, what is going on with Charlie? So all of a sudden, Madison is looking around, and someone puts a gun to her head, tells her to give up her keys, and it's actress Jenna Elfman, whose character's name is Naomi. Madison tries to talk her way out of it. She sends a distress signal through her walkie-talkie to Strand and Lucy and apparently Alicia. And Madison is trying to stall, so she's asking Naomi, listen, we just took in a child. Her name is Charlie. Do you know this girl? And Naomi doesn't know her. So Alicia pops up, and then Strand and Lucy also pop up, and this woman finds herself surrounded. She takes off running. She runs up some steps where there's some rusty metal spoons and forks attached to, and they're making sounds. And I'm like, now who the heck did this? Something's not right about this area. So the woman is on top of the roof of the silo, and the camera kind of pans, because I think Alicia puts her gun down. So the camera pans, and you see some speakers, and you're like, what the heck are these speakers doing here? The woman falls through the cover. And then down inside of the silo, the woman is covered in like murky, oily water. And then, of course, a bunch of walkers pop up out of the water. And I'm like, red flag number 6. Now, who put these walkers in this silo? Madison doesn't even think twice. She jumps down to help this woman while Lucy and Strand are trying to open the silo hatch. And once they get it open, it spills out murky water. We see the oily walkers and the woman. They're all trying to deal with the oily walkers. Meanwhile, Alicia goes inside of the silo and sees Madison. It looks like she's zoned out or something. I'm like, what is going on with Madison? So later on, once the scene ends, it goes to another scene where it's like a little bit later, because I think it's dark out, and Lucy finds a book to give Charlie because Nick asked Lucy to get Charlie another book because he felt like Charlie was a bit bored, and that's why she was acting strange. He didn't pick up on the clues that something was wrong. So Strand's a little iffy about this new woman whose name she reveals is Naomi. She apologizes, and she said, you know what, I wasn't going to hurt any of you guys. She doesn't know who put the walkers in the silos. And then all of a sudden we find out through the sound and the scratching that there are more walkers in adjacent silos, and pretty much it's time for all of them to go and head back to the stadium. So Nick ends up having to burn the turnips, and he hears the Blue Danube being played outside. You know that song that goes dun 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 dun, that one. So Nick is asking the bald dude and the other lady, the ones who were iffy about Madison going on her little run, to go and find out about Charlie's family. He says, you know, this is Nick talking, someone has to go out there and figure out who's blasting that music. He's worried that maybe it could be Madison and the little run group signaling that something's wrong. So Nick decides to go out on his own. He has Charlie open up the gate. Mind you, Charlie is like looking out and she's acting a little bit strange. But again, Nick is not paying attention to this because as he drives, he starts having these PTSD flashbacks, which included him blowing up the dam and everything. He drives a bit, gets surrounded by walkers. Cole goes into sniper mode and kind of like clips a few of them, and they're all like heads blowing up and all this stuff. I think it was like some sort of splatter on the window. I know I'm being a little bit extra saying the heads blowing up, but there was a bit of blood splatter and muck on the windows. So all of a sudden he runs into a light pole, and then Cole shouts at him, and he's just like, listen, Nick, you need to come on back. Just get out the car, leave it, and come back. So Nick is dazed and confused, and his head has like blood on it, like he hit his head on the steering wheel or something. And when he gets out, Madison and the crew pull up. Luciana is super worried. I'm worried as well. Like, what is going on with Nick at this point? Charlie is acting really strange because she's like looking out the gate as though she's waiting for someone or something. I'm like, what is going on? And then Madison talks to her and says, listen, we tried to go out to go find your family and we couldn't. She doesn't seem to be, and by she I mean Charlie, she doesn't seem to be upset that they didn't find her family. I'm like, red flag number 7. And she refuses to tell Madison who destroyed her camp. So we learn as Naomi is patching up Nick that she was an ER or ICU nurse. And we also learn that, and this comes through Madison, that there are 47 people living in the stadium, 48 if you count Naomi. And Naomi's surprised that this group wants to keep her despite what she did, but I'm not. And I think Madison kind of goes on a bit and tells her, you know what, basically, we're not perfect. I did A, B, C, and D, but we want to help you. We want you to stay here. She found her kids when she thought she would never see them again, and she built up this place, and she wants to take a chance on Naomi. And then Naomi's surprised to find out that the stadium has a shower with hot water. I'm surprised as well. So Cole and Strand and the bald dude are trying to get the truck back into the stadium when all of a sudden I think Luciana is in sniper mode and she's looking at something through the scope and she sees some lights coming. And then we kind of learn that Cole is feeling Strand. So my mystery is solved. Cole clearly likes Strand. Strand probably also likes Cole. That's why he's kind of being a little bit standoffish and kind of mean to him. It's really cute. So Lucy spies something, as I said, and she tells all 3 of them, Cole, Strand, and the bald dude, listen, you guys got to get back inside right now. Ditch the truck and come in. And this caravan pulls up. And I'm like, what is going on with this? These people pop up. All of a sudden, this guy pulls up in, I want to call that blue car a Chevy Impala for some reason. It's probably not even that, but I just got Impala vibes from it. Anyway, dude pops out of that car. He has a BMX bike. He has a tape player, starts playing the Blue Danube. Dun, 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 dun. Starts riding around. Those walkers that were outside the gate, he leads them into some sort of truck. He rides in first and they come in, and some dude who essentially pulled down the walkway so the guy with the bike could ride in with the walkers. He pulls down this, I guess they call that the door, the shade thing in the back of the truck. And then the mystery of where these walkers came from is solved, because those walkers are pretty much this new group's walkers. And then the guy who was on the bike gets this piece of paper and spray paints the number 12 on it. And, or it's not even a paper, it's like a piece of cloth, and kind of tacks it up to the truck. And I'm like, well, what the heck is going on with this number 12 thing? And some dude who looks like hipster Negan pops up. He's got like a beach chair, and he has a cooler with all these beers. I think it was like 4 on the ground, and he was drinking one. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Is this some weird kind of hipster tailgate party? Like, what's up with this? So Madison comes out to speak to this dude, and she's just like, what's up? And she reveals she knows that this group is the one that destroyed that camp near the silo. And this dude is like, listen, we want you to listen. He starts talking about Nick and the crops, and I'm like, how the heck do they know Nick's name? Well, lo and behold, little Miss Charlie was a spy for this group. And it's pretty funny how Charlie ends up being the very spy that people thought Enid was at Alexandria. Nice going, writers. And clearly Scott Gimple had something to do with this, because I truly believe that, and I could be wrong, he was the one that wrote that episode that made us doubt Enid in some way, shape, or form, where we all thought that Enid was probably like a spy for another group like the Saviors or something. She turned out not to be, but little Charlie is. It's pretty awesome. This new leader guy says that Charlie has a knack for finding good stuff, and I'm side-eyeing that little girl like, I don't believe it. You know what, I do believe it, but essentially I'm just like shaking my head. So Madison is like, you guys aren't taking anything from us, and this new group knows about the crop problem, how many crops they have, and how many guns they have in their armory. And I'm like, Charlie just ran her little mouth. So this dude reveals his name is Mel, and he's like, listen, you guys are going to give up your stuff, or we're going to sit out here and wait for you to die. It's not a threat, it's just the way it goes. This Mel guy is giving me major hipster, millennial Negan tease. Like, there's something similar to Negan, but I think this group is even worse than the Saviors, because at least one good thing about Negan and the Saviors, they were willing to have you work for them and produce stuff, and then they would take part of it. It's like this new group wants to come and take all your stuff and probably kill you in the process. So Madison is basically like, we're not going anywhere. And Mel says, well, it looks like your group hasn't been tested yet, but you're about to be. And I'm sitting here as someone who's been watching this show since it first aired, like, you don't know what they've been through. But I mean, if this is the route you want to go down and you want to act like Madison's group is pampered, hey, go ahead. Please act like Madison is not kin to Murder Rick from Walking Dead, but okay. So pretty much that hipster tailgating savior wannabe group decides to set up camp outside and sit and watch the baseball stadium. Madison starts continuing to build that place for Charlie that she wanted to build before. You know, it looks like it's near the dugout or something. And I'm just shaking my head like, what is going on with Madison? She's not doing well at all. It looks like she hasn't been sleeping. Like, she's going through a lot at this point. And I'm not surprised, but at the same time, I would really like to know, what did Madison go through? Hopefully we get a little snippet to see what she went through to find Alicia and Nick and to make it to this stadium. But anyway, the others decide to help her. Lucy heads out to give Charlie the little prince, and the little girl's looking at her, as she comes out and then as she walks away, and you can tell in her eyes she feels a little bit remorseful, or maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the only person who noticed that. I like that transition of Madison hammering that nail into Nick doing it, and how like the big now sign on the screen pops up. And we see Luciana, Strand, Alicia, and Nick with John, Alan, Morgan, and they're trying, I think it's Morgan's trying to reason with these four. In fact, I think all three of them are trying to reason with the four of them. And Nick picks up Al's camera. Al is all upset, but Alicia kind of tells her to pipe down because Alicia still has that metal rod thing. She kind of points it to her throat, I remember. Or I think that's where she pointed it to. But anyway, Lucy sees or finds a sign, and it's from made of cloth, and it says the number 51 on it, and she thinks that these three, Al, John, and Morgan, are a part of the Vultures. And Al is just like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm looking at this situation like, is Al telling the truth? Does she not know them? Something isn't right with that. Maybe Al was a part of that group and then just bailed on them and went on her own way. I really hope that she is not still a part of that group and a part of a satellite version of these Vultures. So Alicia tells them, you know what, you guys are going to show us, or particularly Al is going to lead them or direct them to where she found that flag. And then we learn that Al's vehicle was at one point a SWAT vehicle, and that's it. Again, I really enjoyed watching episode 2. Episode 1 was good. This one was even better. The only downside about Fear the Walking Dead was the fact that if you're a part of the TWD Rewards program online and you thought that there was going to be some sort of password revealed during the commercials, there wasn't. And I was kind of annoyed by that. And then another thing was that we had to watch Talking Dead to get the Talking Dead code while we were still thinking that we were getting a Fear code. But now I know there will only be a Talking Dead code, so I'll just only look for that. But I have definitely enjoyed watching episode 2, season 4 so far as it is, and I'm looking forward to episode 3 and so on until the mid-season premiere. Let me know what you're thinking about AMC's Fear the Walking Dead season 4 so far. Leave me some comments. I would love to know. But me personally, I'll be back again to review episode number 3 next Monday. So you all take care. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys. Love you all. Bye.